Welcome. So glad you tuned in to Leap of Faith as we explore Altos. Taken from the Latin altus, meaning high, we feature top priority news stories. We join our editorial and digital teams at Camzel with trending stories from our local weekly Catholic newspaper, as well as Caribbean, Vatican, and global stories. Take the leap with us, hot off the press.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Altos, a weekly Catholic news program produced in conjunction with Trinity TV. Here's a look at what's making the news tonight. Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas has been hospitalized in Ireland. The church marked another All Souls Day. We will tell you how it was commemorated. Students in Trinidad and Tobago are recognized at the St. Francis Canticle Creation Awards ceremony. And later, we speak with Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon on his experiences at the recently completed Synod on Synodality in Rome. And now for our top story. Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas was rushed to the University Hospital in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland, earlier this week. According to the Dominican community of St. Fimbas, Archbishop Rivas fell ill while on holiday at the Dominican community's Holy Cross Priory in Tralee. He was transferred to the intensive care unit of the hospital. Our latest updates indicate that his condition has stabilized and he was responding to medication. The Archbishop was in Rome during October 16th to 26th, where he presented a copy of his book, The Face of a Listening Church, to the Pope during an audience with him. He was due to return to Trinidad on November 8th. We wish him a speedy recovery and we'll keep him in our prayers. Encouraging the elimination of single-use plastic was the focus of a 2023 season of Creation Challenge hosted by the Franciscan Institute for Personal and Family Development. The theme was, Let Justice and Peace Flow. Laura Pickford Gordon was at the St. Dominic's Pastoral Center in Diego Martin on Saturday, October 26th, when the local and regional winners were announced.
Participants from Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, and Grenada created artwork and projects to help raise awareness and encourage the elimination of single-use plastic. People of the Caribbean should not be daunted by the scale of the ecological crisis, Archbishop of Castries Gabriel Malzias said.
Do not underestimate how far the little efforts you and many others are making, and how far it will go to make a change in the course of event, in changing the world around us.
Head of the Franciscan Institute, Sister Julie Marie Peters, said all generations had to be involved.
It is imperative that all, including the youngest generations, participate in all areas of integral ecology. This means conversion of us, adults particularly.
The most outstanding primary school was St. Charles Tunapuna Girls RC. The most outstanding secondary school was St. Rose Modern Secondary School Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago's Corpus Christi College of Occupational Education and Training. I am Laura Pickford Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
Just as October is celebrated as the month of Mary, the Church dedicates the month of November as a special time to remember those who have fallen asleep in the hope of rising again. The Solemnity of All Saints and the Commemoration of All Souls was celebrated on November 1st and 2nd respectively. We have more on this annual celebration in this story.
All Saints and All Souls are significant days in the Catholic Church, providing a time for reflection, remembrance, and spiritual contemplation. The Catholic News visited 3 cemeteries in South Trinidad this week: the Batchia Cemetery in Pinal, the Marabella Cemetery, and the St. Clement Cemetery, San Fernando. Catholics and non-Catholics alike could be seen offering prayers, alms, deeds, and the sacrifice of the Mass for these souls. The Catholic Church teaches that the prayers and offerings made on All Souls Day can aid these souls on their journey to heaven, illustrating the interconnectedness of the living and the departed. It emphasizes the belief in the communion of saints and the hope of eternal life in Christ. I am Chanel Bethel Peters, reporting from the Catholic News, Altos.
Did you know that most of our diocesan priests are also graduates of the University of the West Indies? The Bachelor of Arts and Licentiate in Theology programs done at the seminary are taught via the Faculty of Humanities and Education at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Students of the theology program at the Seminary of St. John Vianney and the Uganda Martyrs graduated with honors at the UE St. Augustine's 2023 graduation ceremony. Here's a look at some of our proud students receiving their scrolls. Congratulations to all of them as they continue their various journeys.
Andrea Pierre Saint-Hilaire.
Yay!
With first class honors, Maurice White.
The seminary, which is celebrating its 80th anniversary this year, will be hosting a fundraising dinner later this month. More details are in our segment on coming events later in the program. You'll recall that 2 weeks ago when we interviewed the national president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Nigel Phillip, he indicated that funding for the operations remains one of their major challenges. Word coming out of the Society's last annual general meeting is that this SVP will now consider selling some properties to clear its over $1 million debt. A proposal to that effect was tabled and accepted at the Society's AGM last Saturday at Mount St. Benedict. National President Nigel Phillip assured members, though, that properties given specifically for use by the Society would not be sold.
So we're not going to sell our properties because it was left for this particular thing, but we will look to engage in discussion if there's a property that we can sell or get rid of to pay our debts.
National Treasurer Raymond Brown said he fully agreed with the move to liquidate some of the assets, but made it clear that it could not be done unilaterally.
We can't just liquidate and sell. So most of the property that we have, it is our property, but it is held by the Roman Catholic Archbishop. So any property that we decide to liquidate must be approved by the Archbishop.
And we do apologize for the quality of the video, but we take this opportunity to encourage you to give generously in your next collection for the SVP. And as part of its rationalization, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul's Secretariat will move to new premises soon. The Society's head office on Duncan Street was closed on October 24th and relocated to Providence Access Road, Belmont, on the site opposite the St. Andrew's Home for the Aged. Father Peter Odwaka blessed the space on Monday, October 30th. National President Nigel Phillip explained to St. Vincent de Paul members at the AGM that the move became necessary as the Duncan Street building had structural issues which also impacted the health and safety of both staff and clients. Phillips said with a more comfortable space, the membership can get more involved in the administrative work of the Society. Many of us are looking forward to reaching the age of 60. But if you want to know how to make it to 60 years of married life, just ask Janet and Hugh Ramsey, who celebrates their diamond wedding anniversary on October 26th. Their children, grandchildren, siblings, and friends paid tribute at a function on the anniversary date. Hugh, who is 87, offered some advice.
Spiritual life. We made sure that we went to Mass every weekend, and our children, we made sure that they went to Mass with us. And because of that, we had a close, loving relationship. I'm not saying that everything was good. Sometimes we didn't see each other's view. I sometimes would disagree with what she says. She would disagree. But at the end of the day, we would make up, and we would, before we say the rosary in our evening, we would say sorry. I would say sorry. If she's wrong, she would say sorry. And we would, and we wouldn't let the day pass without
Congratulations to the Ramseys, who are parishioners at St. Francis of Assisi in Belmont. We here at Altos extend our congratulations to them and thank them for their witness to the sacrament of marriage. And speaking of marriage, for your marriage, it's worth making the effort with God's grace, was the theme of the first of a 2-day pilot marriage accompaniment session hosted by the Archdiocesan Family Life Commission. Catholic News editor Raymond Sims has more in this story.
The first session was held on Saturday, October 28th at the Seminary of St. John Vianney and the Uganda Martyrs. 26 couples participated. The aim of the monthly sessions is to offer God's vision for marriage along with skills and support. Candice and Jules Sobian were there and gave their impressions.
Completed the Family Life Commission's Marriage Accompaniment Workshop Seminar. This is the first day today, and we are very much excited to take part in the second day, and we feel well equipped to go forward to the next month. And we are encouraging other couples, married couples especially, to make the choice and invest in your marriage in sessions such as these, so that you can strengthen the bond and make marriage work, because marriage is worth it.
And don't forget, marriage is a sacrament.
Yes. Heaven and earth. Inward grace. Outward show.
The second session is on Saturday, November 25th, and the schedule resumes in January 2024. Interested couples can contact the Commission at familylife@catholictt.org. I am Raymond Sims for Catholic News, Altos.
The pupils of St. Barb's Government and Rose Hill RC schools took part in a no-violence walk on Friday, October 27th. It coincided with Pope Francis's call for a day of prayer and fasting for peace and reconciliation in the Middle East. Laura Pickford-Gordon prepared this report for us.
The Rose Hill children trekked 35 minutes uphill to Sogren Trace grounds, where they were joined by pupils of St. Barb's. It was a show of unity and for peace to prevail against the boundary lines and warring between their respective communities. A program of activity followed. I am Laura Pickford-Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
Parishioners, both young and old, from the Sacred Heart RC Church in Gasparillo, concluded their Marian devotion with a public procession. Speaking to Altos, Father Shijamon Zacharias noted this was an occasion for prayer and seeking Mary's intercession for global peace.
The war in Israel may stop, and the war in Ukraine may stop, and there will be peace in the world.
Following the procession, faithful returned to the church for worship. It's time now to take a short break, and when we return, we speak with Archbishop Jason Gordon on the outcomes of the recently concluded Synod on Synodality held in Rome. But before we go, here's our trivia question. See if you can find out the answer. Welcome back after this break. We hope you're able to discover the answer to our trivia question. We're fortunate to have on set with us now Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon, who has returned from Rome, where he was attending the Synod on Synodality. Archbishop J, welcome back.
It's so good to be back. No place like home, you know. None.
It's really great to have you back. And let's dive into it. What were the main takeaways from this Synod on Synodality?
A lot of people in the media expected outcomes of position policy changes. They were looking in all the wrong direction.
Okay.
Synodality and this first sitting of the Synod gave us a model and a method of bringing communion to divergent views. I sat at tables with people whose views were North Pole and South Pole.
That must have been exciting.
It was, listen, hair-raising exciting. And at the end of the process, we had a convergence of views. We had a report, and everybody was willing to sign off on the report. Okay. The report would have convergences, divergences, areas for deeper research and reflection. And we found a way in that the people could agree, even what we agree and what we disagree to.
Okay.
And that we could move forward. And if we use a model of conversation in the spirit, what we'll do is we'll be healing the divided world that we're in and the divided church that we're in. And so it's a medicine for healing this divisive nature of our present culture. The second piece of it that struck me in the middle of one of our sessions, we already have synodal structures in place in the church. That never struck me before. The Pastoral Council is a synodal structure. We've introduced MATS, that's a synodal structure. The EC Bishops' Conference, the Finance Council, all of these are synodal structures. The Presbyterial Council, the clusters, all of these are synodal structures. What we don't have is the synodal structures operating in a synodal way. So we have these structures. So my takeaway is like you have a great vehicle, there's a diesel engine, and you're putting gasoline in it. It bucking, and it's doing something, but not what it's supposed to do. Change the fuel. Let's bring conversation in the spirit, discernment into the mix in all of our synodal structures. And all of a sudden what you'll see is a movement of the spirit and a movement of the church in another direction.
That allows for a smoother roll of the vehicle.
Oh, and a building of the communion that Jesus prayed for on the night before he died. The third thing was a laity sitting at the table, priests and laity sitting at the table. Well, that was a bone of great contention all through, and it kept coming up. It kept coming up. There were interventions, but people didn't understand, you know. And history is a wonderful thing. There's a historian, John O'Malley, who wrote the definitive works on the councils in the church. All the councils, Vatican I, Vatican II, Trent, and then at the end he wrote a little book, When Bishops Meet. And in that little book he talks about synods and councils in 1100s and before, and they always had the king, the emperor, the prince sitting in the council. In one of the main synods you had the emperor and the pope moderating over the synod. In other times you always had laity, priests, abbots in the synod. So the inclusion of non-bishops in the synod or council is not new unless you're looking at the Second Vatican Council. And even there you had 20-something lay people there. And then the Pope was pressured to increase the number. And so even in the Second Vatican Council, we had laity present. So synods, laity, priests, bishops, in a synod of bishops is not a new concept. Cardinal Grech came out and gave a proper statement on it. And then the Holy Father came back and gave another statement on it. So you have statements now, and basically this is what the Holy Father asked for. And it's by experiment, and we will evaluate it at the end of the process.
Okay. But do you get this sense at times that some priests are a little bit reluctant to give up some of their authority, some of their power, to include the laity and give the laity that much more say in the work of the church?
You're working out of the wrong paradigm.
Okay.
We all share one common baptism.
Excellent.
And through that common baptism, we are all anointed with holy chrism, prophet, priest, and king. We all have a share in the mission and ministry of the church.
Great.
The laity is not asking or begging for a place. They have been given a place, as everyone in the church, by their baptism. The priest or the bishop or the pope, by virtue of his baptism, that's his identity within the church. And if we think of an all-ministerial church, which was one of the topics on the synod, then you have to think of every person by virtue of their baptism being part of the ministry of the church. The role of the laity is to transform the world. And many times we've seen ministry only in terms of sanctuary. We have to start seeing ministry in a much wider way of the transformation of the world, and equip the laity for the transformation of the world. Some laity will be equipped for what we need in the church, around the sanctuary, and all the ministries inside of the church, but everyone has to be equipped for the transformation of the world. So it's not about any priest who feels that the laity taking my place. Two things are wrong. First, he doesn't understand baptism. And the second thing that is wrong is he hasn't read the James and John and their mother and the problems that we have there. And the third thing that is wrong is he's not looking at all the work he should be doing and he's not doing.
And he's not doing.
Things like formation of the laity, things like visiting of the sick, all the things that priests can't do now because they're doing stuff that actually the laity should be doing. All the administrative stuff really should be done by the laity and not by a priest.
But he agrees now that we've had this transfiguration experience in Rome, and it's good to stay there and build 3 tents. But you're back in Trinidad. How do we take what happened in Rome and how do we further it now in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Archdiocese?
So you'll remember that before I left for Rome, I appointed a vicar for synodal transformation.
That's correct.
Who has all the understanding of this. And he and I have started conversations about the tweaks that we need, that I experienced from Rome. That's first. On November the 18th, we're bringing the leadership of the church together. The priests, the leader of the parish council, the leader of the MAT, a youth representative from the parish, a number of key leaders from parish and ecclesial communities coming together to experience this discernment model and this conversation in the spirit model as we move the church forward into building community, inclusivity and dialogue, going another level down and going a deeper level in. So the idea is over the next 3 years, all the synodal structures will start operating in a synodal way, and the theology of baptism will underpin all ministerial theology.
Do you think then, so now that we'll have both the process, we'll have the structure, do you think that will impact on the declining numbers? We're down at 9% in terms of church attendance. Do you think this is going to be this will jumpstart, or this will be something that will allow people or encourage more persons to come back to church?
Big question. So I've been following different blogs from Pentecostal and other church leaders. All are complaining after COVID, declining numbers dropped. So this is not a Catholic problem or Trinidad problem. This is an international problem. And I've been looking to see their analysis and looking to see what they also are proposing. What I know is there are 2 ways to grow a church. You could grow a church wide, or you could grow a church deep. The second thing I know is sometimes those in the pew really gave bad experience to those who left. And if you want to evangelize, first thing you have to do is you have to make your house welcoming. And so the growing of the church deep in the synodal process will bring a relational church into being. And that relational church, and if we see everyone as ministers, that relational church with an all-ministerial church should be able to then grow wider and wider as the foundations are set differently and set in more solid
So
rock.
we become as deep as we are wide.
That's my vision.
2 things coming out of the Synod, Your Grace. One was the interventions or the retreat, so to speak, of Timothy Radcliffe. And secondly, your own personal encounter with the Pope. Tell us a little bit about those 2.
Timothy Radcliffe is like fine wine. He just keeps getting better as he goes along. And I think his leadership, his spiritual leadership of the Synod was second to none. And everybody felt it. He gave images and concepts that were deeply scriptural to open the mind of the participants to see the work of the Synod in brand new ways. And that really opened a beautiful space. And so his interventions in terms of the leadership, brilliant. The Pope, what a grand guy, you know? he and I shared a very humorous moment or two. And everybody wants to know what the joke is, and I'm not letting
You're
it
not
out.
good. You're not going to tell us a joke.
Not here. Not here. You know, there'll be a fundraiser in the diocese sometime, and I'll put an auction up. And those who bid highest,
we'll get to hear the joke
personally. But in all, he just has such a great sense of humor.
Your Grace, thanks very much. It's all the time we have now, you know, unfortunately. But I know that we'll have you back from time to time as we delve deeper, as we look to grow the church deeper, so that we can have a more relational and a wider church, a church that is more inclusive. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks a lot, Neil. God bless.
God bless. Thanks.
Okay.
Altos, from the Latin altus, meaning high. Every Friday night we feature the top news items hot off the press. We are taking a leap of faith on Trinity TV. Jump in with us for this new and exciting experience.
Thanks very much for staying with us. Here's a look at some of the upcoming events in the Archdiocese. Catholic News Associate Editor Simon De Lochan gives us an idea of what's coming in this week's edition of the Catholic News.
In the All Souls supplement of this week's Catholic News, we explain why eulogies are not said during a funeral mass and outline the importance of wakes as a significant Catholic tradition and how wakes can be adapted to the needs of the bereaved. I am Simon De Lochan, Associate Editor of the Catholic News.
And remember to get your copy of the Catholic News and pick up an extra copy or two for those who are shut in and can't make it to Mass. Remember too that you can catch a repeat of this program at 3 p.m. on Sundays right here on Trinity TV. As we close, we leave on a sporting note. 3 of the top 4 teams in this year's Secondary Schools Premiership Football League were Catholic schools: Fatima, St. Benedict's and Presentation Colleges. Eventually though, it was Fatima College who kicked their way to the top spot. The last time the college won the league was back in 1978. Congratulations to the Fatima boys. Here's a short clip, sourced from Total Sport, as Fatima College captured this year's Secondary School Football League. Do have a good week, everyone.
Absolute pandemonium here at Lewis Street in San Fernando. Naparima College, they led for most of the game actually, 1-0 until Michael Shaves equalized for Fatima College. Then it was Caden Trestrell who got the winner for Fatima College, making them win the league, ending that drought of 45 years waiting for the Premiership title. They have now won the Premiership title with 1 round to spare.